Now, if you guys are anything like me and you have to jump on multiple sales calls every single day, then I know you absolutely hate when people don't show up. Not only is it a massive waste of your time, but it's also money that you're leaving on the table because every single person that books a call with you is a sales opportunity. And by them potentially forgetting about that call, you're literally losing money. Now, to solve this for my own business, I set up a very simple workflow that's going to make sure people actually show up. And if they don't, it's going to make sure that they book another consultation with me and still become my customer. So over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share that workflow with you and I'm going to tell you exactly how you can set it up. Now, the idea behind this workflow is to make sure that every time someone books a sales call with you, they're 100% going to show up. And a good indicator of whether people actually show up or not is usually whether they accept your calendar invite. So for example, in the case of this call with John Smith, he still has not accepted my calendar invite. So the automation that I'm about to share with you is going to flag this sales call and send out multiple reminders before that actual call, telling that person, hey, you have to confirm the calendar invite, otherwise we're going to cancel the consultation. So the first component of the automation is setting up multiple reminders before the sales call to make sure that the person 100% knows that the call is coming up. So let's say in this instance, we're sending out 4 reminders, R1, R2, R3, and R4. And before each reminder, what we're actually doing is we're checking to see whether they've accepted the calendar invite or not. Because sometimes once you send the first reminder, they will accept the calendar invite and then there's no need to send out R2, R3, R4. Because our goal here is to make sure that they accept the calendar invite so they 100% show up. Now, if after all 4 reminders, they still have not accepted the calendar invite, what we're going to do is 2 hours prior to the consultation, we're actually going to cancel that consultation. But we're not just going to leave it there. We're going to actually send them an email saying, hey, we've had to cancel the consultation. Please reschedule for a new time. Now, doing this is going to add a little bit of authority, and it's also going to be a way of giving them another opportunity to book a new sales call with you. So some people might reply to that email straight away and say, sorry, I missed the call. Let's please book another one. But with people that still do not book another call or reply to that email, what we're going to do is we're going to put them inside a follow-up sequence where we're going to message them or email them for the next 1,000 days in a row saying, hey man, are you going to book that call or not? And we're literally going to keep doing this until eventually they either book another call or they report us to the local police. But either way, we're going to make sure that we're not missing any sales opportunities. So with that being said, I'm giving you guys access to all 3 parts of this automation in the description down below. Literally just go to the link in the description, click on it, and that's going to take you to my free Skool community. Inside my free Skool community, go to the YouTube resources section, find the post that has the same name as the title of this video, click on that post, and then look at the resources that say .json, click on them and download each of them one by one. And then once you've got them downloaded, all you want to do is open up a new workflow in n8n, click on these 3 buttons up here and then click on import from file. And then just by doing that, you're going to have all of the templates show up. So all you have to literally do is follow along with the video and tweak it to match your specific tactic and criteria. But anyways, with that being said, this is the actual workflow that's sending out the email reminders. So as you can see, it's extremely simple. It's literally 5 nodes. All that's really happening in this workflow is we're triggering it at certain time intervals. So we're telling the automation to run, let's say, every single day. And then we're pulling in basically all the events inside our calendar within a certain time period. So let's say, for example, if we have 5 events coming up, we're pulling in all those 5 events. And then in this node, we're just going to check to see whether it's an event that we're the organizer of, because obviously you don't really care if it's someone else's event. And then in this code node, we're just going to see whether they've actually accepted that calendar invite yet or not. And as I said, to the people that haven't accepted the calendar invite yet, we're going to send out reminder emails. So to demo this workflow, what I've done is I've created a bunch of fake events. So as you can see, we've got event number 1, which is coming up in, about 15 minutes. Right now it's 11:16 p.m. The event is at 11:30 p.m. And then we have another event that's coming up about half an hour after that one finishes at 1 a.m. called fake number 2. We've got fake number 3, 4, and 5. And each of these fake events are actually capturing a different scenario. So for the sake of event number 1, we have a 1 attendee and that person hasn't actually accepted the invite yet. Now for the second event, we have 2 invitees. We've got John Smith and we got Sam, and they both haven't accepted the calendar invite yet. So in this case, obviously we want to be able to send out both of them emails. In the case of event number 4, which is the fake one, as you can see, it says it's inbound, meaning that someone else actually organized this event and they invited us. So development is our email address and Sam is the person that's inviting us. Now, in this case, obviously, we don't want to be able to send out reminders to ourselves because that would make no sense. Then we have fake number 3, which is an event with 2 attendees. In this case, we have Kia Sam and John Smith. And as you can see in this instance, Kia has already accepted the calendar invite, while John has not yet accepted the calendar invite. Now, for the sake of this automation, to keep it simple, what I'm assuming is that these 2 people are going to be from the same company, let's say company A. And so you don't necessarily need to send out reminders if 1 or 2 people have already accepted the call. Because if you guys have experience jumping on consultations and sales calls, generally what happens is people tend to invite their colleagues, but realistically the colleagues almost never show up. So I personally find it a little bit weird reaching out to their colleagues if they've already accepted the calendar invite. Then we've got the last event, which is fake event number 5. Now this one is with Kia, and in this instance, he's already accepted the event. So we obviously do not want to send out reminders to him. Now going back to the workflow, let's run it and see exactly how it works. As you can see, as simple as that, we sent out the first reminder email. So coming over to my email, you can see that a reminder has been sent to me that says confirm your attendance for the event called fake number 2. And it says, please confirm your attendance for the upcoming event fake number 2 by accepting the calendar invite. Failure to accept the invite will result in event cancellation. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. So as I said, super simple. The idea is to be able to send out multiple of these reminders to tell them, hey, you still haven't accepted the calendar invitation. Either accept it or I'm going to cancel the event. So the idea behind the schedule trigger node is to be able to run the automation at a specific time interval. So in this case, what I've done is I've said I want it to run every single day at exactly 4 p.m. So basically Monday, it will run at 4 p.m. Tuesday, it will run at 4 p.m. Wednesday, it will run at 4 p.m. and so on and so forth. Now, feel free to change this as you please. If you want to change it, just click on this here button here. It will take you to this custom cron webpage, which will basically allow you to define what sort of time intervals you want, and it will teach you how you can use that specific syntax. But if I come over to the Google Calendar node, you can see that in this instance, what we're trying to do is we're trying to grab all the events that are happening from now to 48 hours in the future from now. And the reason why I do this is, let's say, for example, right now, Monday 4 p.m. it's going to run. It's going to grab all the events from Monday 4 p.m. to Tuesday 4 p.m. to Wednesday 4 p.m. So all of the events that sit within this sort of time frame are going to be pulled in from this specific node. Now, the idea of this workflow is to be able to send out people emails 2 days before the event and also 1 day before the event. And by choosing the workflow to run every single day, so once at Monday 4 p.m., once at Tuesday 4 p.m., and once at Wednesday 4 p.m., what's going to happen is every single call that happens, let's say, for example, between 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. every single day, which is likely the times that you're going to actually have calls, is going to trigger 1 day before and 2 days before. So let's say, to kind of clear this up, let's say if it was a call you had on Wednesday at 2 p.m., then running the workflow at Monday at 4 p.m. and checking for 48 hours after that, which is until 4 p.m., is obviously going to trigger the reminder once here. And then running the workflow again at 4 p.m. the day before is also going to trigger it again here. So realistically, what's happening is you're reaching out to them 2 days before and also 1 day before the actual event. So to set this node up, it's actually super simple. All you have to do is connect yourself to your Google Calendar. To do that, you can literally just click on create new credential and then go and sign in with Google. And just like that, you're going to be connected to your calendar. Then once you've connected to your calendar, you want to come down here and choose your calendar from the list of calendars. So in this case, we're using my calendar, kigasam.dev@gmail.com. And then you want to define how many events you want to be able to pull in at each time. Now, realistically, it's very unlikely that you're going to have more than 50 events every 2 days. So I think 50 is a pretty good limit. And then it's basically saying, when do you want these events to be? So we're defining it to be from now to now plus 48 hours from now, which, as I said, is exactly that sort of formula that's going to allow you to reach out to people once 2 days before and also once 1 day before the actual event. But feel free to change the schedule trigger node and also this logic here to reach out to them as many times as you think is required. So as you guys can see in this instance, the node pulled in all the events. So we've got fake number 1, fake number 2, fake number 3, fake number 4, and fake number 5. And then in the next node, what we're doing is we're basically just saying filter out these calls to only keep the calls where the organizer has the same email address as me. So if we actually look at the output of the calendar node, you can see that it also has a parameter that says who the organizer actually is. So in this case, the organizer is this email address, kigasam.dev@gmail.com. And all we're doing is we're pulling this parameter in when we're saying, hey, check this parameter. Is the value of this parameter equal to our email address? If yes, then keep them. If no, then kick them out. So in this instance, you can see that the one that was discarded was indeed the one where the organizer was kia@comexa.ai, which isn't the email address that I have connected because we're using kirgasem@dev@gmail.com at the moment. So then moving on, after we've filtered the calls that have the organizer being us, we're then defining a bit of custom code that's basically just going to look for the events that haven't yet been accepted with the logic that I defined before. So if it's an event with only one person, then if that person hasn't accepted the invite, then we're obviously going to reach out to them. If it's with 2 or more people, then we need at least one of them to have to accept that invite for us to not reach out to them. But if we have, let's say, 3 people and no one's accepted, then we're definitely going to reach out to them. And then once we've filtered out the calls that should be sent reminders to, we're basically just reconfiguring the parameters to only pull out these 2 parameters for each call. One of them being the name of the call, which in this case is summary fake 1, and the other one being the attendee emails. And we've defined the attendee emails to be in a format where we have the attendee number 1 email, comma, space, the attendee number 2 email, comma, space, attendee number 3, and so on and so forth. And the reason why we do that is because in the next node where we're actually sending out the emails, we're pulling in the attendee emails as a parameter to say, send the email to these attendees. So in the case of the second item, what's actually happening is it's going to be sending the email both to kia@comexa.ai, which is the first attendee of that event that hasn't accepted, and johnsmith@gmail.com, which is the second attendee that hasn't actually accepted yet. Now, just before we take a look at the Gmail node, let's take a quick look at the actual events that we're sending out the reminders to. So it's chosen to send a reminder to fake number 1 and fake number 2. Now, if we come back to the actual calls that we have, you can see that fake number 1 is indeed a call that hasn't been accepted yet. Fake number 2 is also a call with 2 attendees that hasn't been accepted yet. So that's worth a reminder. Fake number 4, we obviously didn't want to send it to because they're inbound, and we did see how it filtered that out. Fake number 3, we've got 2 attendees. One of them have accepted, so we don't need to send an email to this one. And then fake number 5, the attendee is actually accepted, so we also don't need to send an email to this one either. Now coming back here, once we have that information, we're basically just sending off the email inside a Gmail node. As I said, it's being sent to the email addresses that we brought in from the previous node. The subject line that we've defined is just saying confirm attendance, and then the actual event name. I find that keeping it short and simple actually works better than making it super long. Some people like to put urgent or action required or event upcoming or something like that. But I find that putting 2 simple words that's defining exactly what you want to say inside the email always works best. So in this case, it says confirm attendance, fake number 1. And then we've defined a bit of HTML code that's actually been sent inside the body of the email. So it's saying, please confirm your attendance to the upcoming event, has the name of the event, by accepting the calendar invite. Failure to accept the invite will result in event cancellation, and the rest of it just like how I showed you guys inside the actual email. Now you can feel free to change this how you'd like as well, add some more beef into it, but I think it's a event reminder. So realistically, you just want to remind them about the event. There's no real point of saying a lot of random BS, but I'll leave that up to you guys. So then that's literally the workflow for the reminder. It's as simple as that. Now, as I said, with what we have, if we have the event on this day, it's going to send a reminder once a day before and once 2 days before. But if you wanted to send more and more reminders, like let's say you wanted to do 3 days before, you wanted to do 4 days before, and you wanted to do 5 days before, literally all you have to do is come to the Google Calendar node and then change the plus hours from 48 to however many hours that's required. So for example, if I were to change this to 72 hours, which is 3 days, then what's going to happen is you're going to send 3 emails, once 1 day before, once 2 days before, and once 3 days before. So literally all you have to do, keep this one workflow and just change this Google Calendar node and also change when you want to send it out. Now to connect yourself to Gmail as well, all you have to do is also just sign in. So it's super simple. Now with that being said, let's move on to the second workflow, which is going to cancel the event if they haven't yet accepted 2 hours prior to the event. Now let's actually trial this one out first. Let's just click on test workflow. And then just like that, if I come back to my email address, you can see that it says event cancellation fake number 2. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel fake number 2 due to the lack of confirmation. If you'd like to reschedule, please reply to this email and we'll be happy to arrange a new time. So literally what's happening in this workflow is also very similar to what was happening before. We have a schedule trigger node that's basically just triggering the automation at certain time intervals. So the idea here is to be able to cancel the event 2 hours prior to the event if they still haven't accepted. So let's say, for example, if we have an event on this time, let's say 8 a.m., you want to be able to run the automation sometime past 6 a.m. and then cancel the event and let them know that you've canceled it and tell them to reschedule. So to achieve that inside the schedule trigger node, what we've done is we've told the automation to run every single hour between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. So in the case of my business, most of my calls sit within the time frame of 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if I run it every single hour between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m., that kind of captures all the different sort of possibilities. But in your instance, you might have different hours. So if you want to change this, all you have to really do is change this 7 and 14 to whatever times that you have your consultation. So if you guys have, I don't know, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., you change it to 17 to 21. And then inside the Google Calendar node, like we saw before, what we're doing is we're getting all the events within that time period. So from now to 2 hours from now, as you can see, it's taken event fake number 1 and fake number 2, which was the events that were coming up in the next 2 hours. And then it's filtered out for the ones that we are the organizer. So in this case, fake number 1 and fake number 2 were both the organizer for them. So it didn't actually discard anything. And then it's checking to see which ones they have not yet accepted. So in this instance, both of them haven't yet accepted. So fake number 1 and fake number 2. And as you guys can see in this case, it's also pulled out their event ID so we can delete them, and also the attendee emails like we saw before. So then we have 2 branches now. The top branch, this one over here, is the one that's actually going to cancel or delete that event. And then inside the bottom branch here, what we're doing is we're grabbing the information from that person and putting it inside a very simple Google Sheet that's literally just recording the email address of the person that didn't attend. And the idea is that by grabbing their email address, what we can do is we can send them out sequences of emails to tell them to reschedule for another event with us. So coming back here, as you can see in the top branch, we have Google Calendar node, which is basically just deleting the event. So you don't have to log in again. All you have to do is choose the credential that you added before, keep it as deleted, add your calendar, and then add the event ID of the event that you actually want to delete, which in this instance is this one here. We've pulled it in. And as you can see, the response that we've gotten is that we were able to delete both events. So if I come over to my calendar now, you can see that we no longer have fake number 1 and fake number 2 on the calendar. And then in the next node, what we're doing is we're basically just sending out the email to tell them that, hey, we've canceled the event and you should reschedule with us. And this is also very similar to what we saw before. We're pulling the actual attendees, and then we're defining the name as event cancellation, and we have the message that I showed you guys inside the email. And then coming over to the bottom branch, inside the code that we've defined, what we're really doing is we're basically just grabbing each of the email addresses inside the events that were canceled, and we're turning it into different items inside an array. So in this case, you can see we had Kietkamexa, johnsmith@gmail.com, and now they've been put in as different rows of an array called the emails array. And then we're splitting out these emails to be one item each. And then individually, we're uploading these items inside the Google Sheet with just the actual email address, and we're defining the sequence completed parameter inside the Google Sheet as a node because we haven't yet sent them an actual sequence. Now coming over to the final workflow, this is also very similar to the workflows that you guys saw before. It's also extremely simple. Literally all that's happening is we're scheduling the workflow to trigger at specific time intervals. And then what we're doing is we're pulling in all the rows from the sheet that had a sequence completed equal to no, meaning that we haven't actually sent them the follow-up sequences since we've added them to the sheet. And then we have a waiting period. So this one's basically just saying, hey, wait for 1 day before we actually send out the follow-up email. Because if we come have a look at the previous workflow, we've already sent them an email on day number 0 saying, hey, we've canceled the event. Can you guys please reschedule? And then you'd probably want to wait at least 1 day before you send them another email saying the same thing. So we're waiting here. And then what we're doing is we're basically sending out that email. We're waiting again. We're sending out that email, we're waiting again, and sending out that email. So let's say, for example, if we canceled the event at Monday, on Tuesday, we're reaching out to them, which is this one over here. And on Wednesday, we're reaching out to them again. And then on Thursday, we're reaching out to them again. And if you guys want to change the sort of lag or delay between the emails, you can literally just change it inside the wait node. All you have to do is click on the wait node and define how long you want to actually wait between each email. So 1 second is what I've defined here because I want to demo it to you guys in a second. But in reality, you'd probably have this as days and you change it to however many days you want. And then in terms of the actual schedule trigger node, you just want to define exactly what time you want to send the email. So right now it says 6 p.m., which is probably not super ideal. What you want to do is probably send it like, let's say 11 a.m., which is usually when people are most engaged inside their inbox. And one thing you guys should definitely do is click on these 3 buttons at the top right here, go over to settings, click on time zone and choose the time zone that you're currently in so that the actual time that you define inside the schedule trigger node is in line with the time that you're actually hoping it to be. So let's quickly run this workflow and see what we get. Now, as you guys can see, I have a reminder sent to me 0 minutes ago that says, we missed you at the consultation yesterday. Would you like to reschedule for the coming week? I look forward to hearing from you. And then we have another one that says, we missed you the other day. And then we have another one that also says the same thing. Now, I've kept it extremely simple just for demo purposes, so you guys understand what the goal of each node is. But realistically, you'd probably want to add a little bit more source into the actual email itself. Now, taking a super quick look at the workflow, the Google Sheet node, as I said, is pulling in the rows just depending on whether the sequence completed is yes or no. And then we're waiting for however many seconds, days, minutes. So you guys probably want to do 1 or 2 days, but I've just got 1 second here. And then we're actually sending out the email. So as I said, we've defined which email address we want to send it to, which is just pulling from the actual Google Sheet node. And then we have a subject line and some HTML that's defining the actual body of the email. Then we're waiting, then we're sending another email, waiting, sending another email. So as you guys can see inside the Google Sheet node, what we're actually doing is we're trying to change the sequence completed from no to yes. And we're doing that by matching up the email address of the person that we just completed the sequence for to the email address inside the Google Sheets node. And then we're changing the sequence completed equal to yes. So if I run this, and we go back to the Google Sheets node, you can see that sequence completed is now yes. So next time we're not going to send them another sequence. Now that was literally it. The idea of this automation was to show you guys the framework that you should use in order to send out the follow-up emails and also cancel. But the exact specifics of, for example, how many reminders you want to send or when you want to cancel or what you want to say in each email, I'm going to leave completely up to you. But with that being said, I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did find this video of value, I would really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.